INSYIRAH, and I'll be covering on traditional masculinity. Now, what exactly traditional masculinity means depends on who's talking about it. So in here it says that in science, the term refers to a specific set of traits and behaviors that are considered culturally appropriate for manhood, some of which can become harmful in certain cases. So when it becomes harmful, it's an extreme form of dominance, violence, and or aggression, according to McDermott. But he's also quick to note that in a lot of situations, more moderate expressions of these traits, along with other masculine ideals, are totally healthy and advantageous to people of both genders, male or female. This is that sometimes it's good to be aggressive, sometimes it's good to be dominant. However, if that person only operates on that frame of mind, then she or he is going to encounter a problem when they face a situation where you need to be more feminine. So now let us look at the examples for these traditional masculinity. For this case, it's hegemonic masculinity. Now, in the first scene of Romeo and Juliet, the character of Samson, which is a Capulet, is a tool by Shakespeare to express the traditional beliefs of masculinity. Here it says that Samson believes in what some call hegemonic masculinity, which is the idea that male dominance is established through the submission of women as well as the excursion of their aggression. Samson, who is a Capulet, argues that women, being the weaker vessels, are ever thrust to the wall. Therefore, I will push Montague's men from the wall and thrust his mates to the wall. Now, this belief encapsulates what it was to be a man in that time, which is the Elizabethan times. So it's filled with violence and aggression, as well as the submission of women and sexual imagery. We can look at the violence and aggression when Samson stated that he will push Montague's men from the wall. And then the submission of women and sexual imagery could be seen when he said, and then take their women and thrust his mates to the wall. Now this language is actually suggestive of rape. So these men during that time feel as though they have the right to do this because women are the weaker vessels. Now this is like a sign of patriarchy or toxic masculinity, where the men feel that they're more superior than women, and women are seen more as property instead of another human being. So now another example from A Thousand Splendid Suns. Now in A Thousand Splendid Suns, Rashid shows his perception of masculinity through his behavior towards Maryam, Layla, and Aziza. Quoting from the text, Rashid, anxious and overly attentive, was holding her elbow, directing her across the yard like a traffic policeman. Now this is quoting from Maryam, and her in this quote is referred to Layla. So Rashid was holding Layla's elbow, directing Layla across the yard like a traffic policeman. Now this scene was before Rashid and Layla made it to the hospital because she was about to give birth to Rashid's child. He treated Layla like a wife, like his wife pregnant with his boy. So he was really nice to her. He treated her with kindness and all that because he had hoped that Layla was pregnant with a boy. And then the second quote, he let the gate go prematurely, and it almost hit the girl on the face. He crossed the yard in a few quick steps. Mariam detected a shadow on his face, a darkness underlying the coppery light of dusk. In the house, he took off his coat, threw it on the couch. Brushing past Mariam, he said in a brusque voice, "I'm hungry. Get supper ready." Now this scene happened after Rashid and Laila came back from the hospital, and Laila was actually pregnant with a baby girl, Aziza. So upon finding out that he had a girl instead of a boy that he had hoped for, his behavior towards Laila automatically changed to that of a violent nature, like how he treated Mariam because she couldn't conceive. So once he found out that it was a girl, he immediately looked at Laila with disgust and hate because she couldn't give him a boy. Lastly here, the last quote says, Mariam never heard him call his daughter by the name the girl had given her, Aziza, which means the cherished one. It was always the baby, or when he was really exasperated, that thing. Now Rashid's behavior towards women really shows in this particular quote, because it's his own daughter that he calls that thing, meaning that he doesn't see his daughter as another human being. He doesn't see her as precious as a boy, so he calls her either the baby or that thing, without acknowledging that she is his daughter. Alright, so lastly, I'll present my views on masculinity. Now first, let us look at the origin of masculinity. Now I believe that masculinity developed years ago, when earlier people back in those days used strength, for example, to exert dominance or take charge. So of course it's understandable that the most successful males back in the days were those who could fight and hunt. So in those times, of course, the most desirable traits would likely have included aggression or ruthlessness and physical strength, because these people could hunt and provide for their community, for instance. So then I believe that these behaviors of aggression and ruthlessness continued for centuries. So throughout our history, we could see that the more dominant male are those who became rulers and those that have gained power by conquering others. So then this pattern remained unchanged, and then suddenly now in our society, in the contemporary society, the traditional male behaviors, which included aggression and physical strength and so on, became incompatible with our views, because we no longer need men or people to provide for us. We can, as women, we can do that too. So now, because our society has shifted this attitude toward these male behaviors that were considered to be masculine back in the days, which included the aggression and so on, we no longer celebrate it, because these are seen as archaic views of masculinity, where, like I said, we no longer need these people to provide for us and to use strength to exert dominance and so on. So that is, I think, the origin of masculinity. And then I believe that, examining the psychology behind the causes of toxic masculinity nowadays is important to demolish the negative aspects of toxic masculinity. For instance, let's say people always say boys will be boys when these boys do something wrong, for instance. Now I believe that this expression advocates for careless or aggressive and damaging behavior in young males, because instead of teaching them about responsibility and owning up to their mistakes, we excuse it for them being boys, and that's it. while girls would face consequences of their actions. So I believe that, masculinity is socially constructed, meaning that there's always a chance for us to deconstruct whatever destructive ideas and philosophies that we have of this toxic masculinity, and to start new ones that would benefit both men and women. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. My name is SHAHIRA HANIM, and I will be presenting on the second part of this presentation. So, as we all know, each person will have their own good and bad side. We cannot run from that. Like my dad reminded me, to err is human, but we can always improve ourselves in becoming the better version of us. So, just now you have listened to AISYAH INSYIRAH's explanation of a good representation of man. And now, I want to share with you the bad side of man depicted and represented in a literature. Therefore, one of the bad representations of man is being offensive towards women and children. According to vocabulary.com, offensive describes rude and hurtful behavior. Also attack, which means by being aggressive. Offensive can mean not just attacking someone or something, but also belching, insulting people, or otherwise not respecting common standard of behavior. Belching and insulting people. More specifically, Fredrickson and Roberts 1997 postulated that self-objectification can increase women's anxiety about physical appearance. They get scared about when and how one's body will be looked at and evaluated, and it reduces opportunities for peak motivational states or flow, and it can also diminish awareness of internal bodily sensation such as hunger and it can also increase women's opportunity for body shame when the emotion that results from measuring oneself against a cultural standard and coming up short, and increase women's anxiety about their physical safety. They scared about being raped, for example, which in turn can lead to disordered eating, depression, and sexual dysfunction. In addition to this, everyday commonplace forms of sexual objectification, many women also experience more extreme forms of sexual objectification via actual sexual victimization, for example, rape, sexual assault, sexual harassment. So, for example, research indicates that 1 in 4 women have been victims of rape or attempted rape, and more than half of college women have experienced some type of sexual victimization, according to Fisher, Cullen, and Turner on 2000. Females' self-reported experiences of sexual victimization are related to more self-objectification and body shame, and adverse psychological outcomes, including depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. For attack, which means by being aggressive, the worldwide prevalence of male violence toward women has recently become disturbingly evident. Brussels on 1984 has done a careful survey on 930 San Franciscan women, indicates that 1/4 of American women will experience a completed rape at some time in their lives, and nearly 1/2 will be victims of attempted or completed rape. Since the age of 14, 27.5% of college women have experienced an attempted or completed rape, according to COS 1987. And each year, approximately 1.8 million American wives are beaten by their husband, and 1/8 of all murders involve husbands killing their wives according to Hutchings 1988. So on the next video, I will be showing you a clip on a man being aggressive to a child.
You haven't touched your food.
I'm not very hungry.
Come on, buddy. I got a big day planned for us tomorrow. You're gonna need all that energy. Hey!
Clint! Stop it! No!
Boys have to eat. I'm sorry. Okay?
Mr. Collins, I know that it's late, but I need to.
You need to speak with me? Or my wife?
What? No, it's not like that. You don't understand.
Oh, no. I understand. Once you get a piece of a woman like that, it's hard to shake it off.
Okay, you are in danger.
I'm in danger?
Okay, just listen.
I'm in danger! Huh? I'm trying to say it again! I'm in danger! No! Say it again!
Now, if you ever try to contact my wife again, first, I'm gonna take it out of her hide. And then I'm gonna come and find you, and I'm gonna shoot you. Am I making myself perfectly fucking clear? Now get off my property, I'll go fuck my wife.
In its oral and written form, literature has constantly served as one of the major instruments in mirroring reality and society. Literature remains a consistent tool in the representation, comprehension, and interpretation of fields of human endeavor, such as religion, class struggles, politics, human situation, social conflicts, and also gender relations. No wonder then, gender relation, especially feminism, has laid hold on literature as a veritable machinery for gender activism. At the same time, the male gender used the resources of literature and criticism to invent prejudices, stereotypes, and superstitious beliefs and heaped them on the female gender. While women labored under this burden for ages, men were busy upstaging them in every field of life. Few instances have, however, existed where certain female figures, due to their exalted royal, military, economics, and cultic backgrounds, have through individual efforts raised their head above water in their respective societies and eras. Literature has equally recorded cases where powerful women in various races have astutely and subtly cornered for themselves right and privileges which ordinary women and even ordinary men could never dream of. Such positions were like personal identity cards which neither outlived them nor were enjoyed by other women during and after their lifetime. So these examples are today literature in history and literary archives.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day to Dr. MAZNI and my fellow classmates. I am INSYIRAH binti MAZNI, and and I'll be presenting on the next part, which is going to be the last part of this presentation. Earlier on, AISYAH and HANIM have presented the two traditional representations of men, which are masculinity and offensiveness. So now we will take a look on how the representations of men have evolved over the past 2 decades with the emergence of the new man, which is metrosexual. We will first take a look at the definition of metrosexuality. What is actually metrosexual? In certain articles that I read, it is said that the early wave of metrosexuality was associated with homosexual orientation. However, the recent wave claims that any man can be metrosexual without being homosexual. So, metrosexual can be defined as an emerging breed of men called as the metrosexual, who shows their soft, sensitive, feminine side. Metrosexual men are not afraid to do and buy whatever they want, regardless of whether some people might consider those things as unmanly. Metrosexual men may have a weekly appointment for manicure and may probably have their hair done by a stylist rather than a barber. They may also love to shop, they may wear jewelries and accessories, and their bathroom counter most likely filled with grooming products, including moisturizers and perhaps a little bit of makeup. Metrosexual men may as well put on an apron, skillfully use kitchen tools, and prepare a home-cooked dish for their friends. And all of these things don't make them feel any less masculine or any less heterosexual. So basically, metrosexuality is not about men becoming girly. It's about men becoming everything of themselves. So the changing roles of men in society are reflected in the changing representations of men in the media. Representations of men are moving away from the absolute toughness, stubborn self-reliance, and emotional silence, with a more male character being comfortable with showing their emotions, seeking advice about how to deal with the problems of masculinity, and just simply following their interests, even if their interests are considered as unmanly. Alright, so now we will take a look at a few examples of the portrayal of metrosexual men in the media. Alright, so the first one is from a skincare advertisement, which is SK2 Pitera Essence advertisements, where James Corden and Chloe Moretz are their ambassadors. Okay, so the advertisement consists of 5 short episodes showing James and Chloe sharing their skincare routines. In the advertisement, James is portrayed as a man who cares a lot about his appearance, especially his skin. He even has his own skincare routines, but he still has concerns about it. He also loves taking selfies, and the advertisement starts by showing James taking selfies in the middle of a walk just because he is feeling good that day and the lighting is great. But then he realizes that his skin is not in good condition, so he makes a video call with Chloe to ask for her help and to share her secrets behind her skincare routines. And later, she invites him to her house and together they share their beauty tips. The inclusivity of men in this advertisement will actually give a space for men to think that it is totally okay for them to have concerns on their appearance, and men don't always need to be traditionally tough and manly. For instance, a man should have no problem staying under the sun for a long period of time without any protection of sunscreen or sunblock. And Jim's character in the ads shows that men can also have insecurities. Men can also have a skincare routine, and these won't make them any less of a man. So James' character is one of the examples of a metrosexual man represented in media who pursues his interest in skincare products and doesn't feel ashamed to take selfies in public, in which some people might find it as unmanly. Okay, another example of the representation of metrosexual men in media is from the character of Kim Sang-ryo from the 2018 Korean drama called as My Secret Terriers. In the drama, there is a supporting character named Kim Sang-ryo. Kim Sang-ryo is a father who takes the role of a house husband by his own choice. He lives in King Castle apartment together with the lead actor Kim Bon. Kim Bon is actually a secret agent in disguise of a babysitter. He is from Korean National Intelligence Service known as NIS. So as a babysitter, Kim Bon looks up to Kim Sang-ryo as a role model in child parenting. Sang-ryo is also a member of the Neighborhoods Club for Parents called as King Castle Information System, KIS, where they can easily get information about someone through their systematic communications in their chat group, as well as through their regular meetings to discuss about the neighborhood's matters. So the members of the club, including Sang-ryo himself, are very proud of their club that they proudly call themselves as KIS agents. Even if Kim Sang-ryo's family is a bit different from other families, where only his wife has a career while he is unemployed in order to take the supposedly role of a woman, a housewife, he never feels ashamed of it. Instead, he is proud that his wife is a career woman and he also does a very good job as a house husband. And also, in the drama, whenever Kim Bon and Kim Sang-ryo meet up, instead of drinking coffee or tea, interestingly, they are always shown drinking cultured milk, such as Vitagen and Yakult. Okay, from the drama, we can see that Kim Sang-ryo character breaks the typical rules of a man, and instead, he is shown as a metrosexual man who does what he loves, which are being a house husband and getting involved in parents' meetings. And these reverse gender roles will actually allow men to have various options on what they want to be as a husband or father. A husband or father doesn't always need to be the one who works to financially support the family. And most of the time, they are too occupied with their jobs that they don't have time to emotionally involve with their children. Instead, a man can be the husband or father that spend most of their time doing house chores, taking care of the children, cook for his family, and many others. So this is another example of a metrosexual man who doesn't think that the reversed gender rules will make them any less of a man. We will move on to our opinions and the conclusion. In my opinion, this new representation of men as metrosexual becomes a thing is due to the pressure that men went through to fit in the traditional stereotypes of a man. Just like how women feel pressured of the gender roles, there are also men out there who feel the same, because not all men want to be a leader. Not all men love to do heavy stuff. And we should also prove that men can easily cry too, and men can also care about their everyday outfits. Also, I personally encourage metrosexuality among men as long as it doesn't go against one's religion. For instance, as much as I support my male friends to express themselves through fashion and style, whether they want to follow the latest trends or whether they have their own style. But I believe one should know where the limit is and when to stop. For example, not wearing gold accessories and silk garments, and not putting on heavy makeups that can make himself resemble a woman. Because as we all know, these things are strictly prohibited for Muslim men. And that is all from our group. Thank you so much everyone for listening, and have a nice day.